Technology related again, but I think this is an example of it's something very environmentally sort of aware, but also something that I think as a consumer, there's a certain veil of mystery over certain products, and you look at something and you think I know, you look at your phone, you don't have to know how it works, but you're pretty confident that what you pay for it, and there's a lot of technology in that, and it's sort of justifying it in some way. What has happened sort of over the last week, and it's a guy that I follow on Twitter, which I think his name's pronounced Foon. It's Foone. On his Twitter feed, he posts loads of stuff where basically you'll buy a children's toy, an old computer or whatever, and break it down and work out how it works and sort of maybe mod it and play around with it. Half the stuff he does, I've got no idea. He's way above my level of intelligence, but I find it really interesting seeing him doing this stuff. He took apart a digital pregnancy test, which, if anyone's ever in the situation.
Used.
Not used, no. There's a new one out of the packet. And if you've ever bought one, you can buy the cheap ones, which show up a little line after you've weed on it, or an expensive one, which has a little readout, it has a screen, and it tells you, yeah, you're pregnant, whatever, all of that stuff. So he took apart one of the digital ones, and it turns out that you've got all these components on the screen and the processor. It's got a processor, the equivalent to the original IBM PC, which came out in the 80s. It's the equivalent to one of those that's in it. But all that does, you've still got the same bit of paper, and you've still got the same bit of paper and the same stripe on it. The machine on the circuit in it is just a sensor that reads whether there's a line on it or not, and then puts a word on the screen.
Hang up.
That's it.
So it's using a bit of tech to tell you what you would have found out.
To tell you what you would have seen with your own eyes if you'd bought the cheaper one. Amazing.
And you pay probably 4 times the amount.
However much for it. Yeah, exactly. But then you put it in the bin. So you're putting the equivalent of a PC 30 years ago in a bin. It's insane, isn't it?
It's crazy. It is crazy. But that doesn't surprise me, because I kind of think, well, how else are they? What is that? Well, technology's, come on leaps and bounds since them initial pregnancy tests.
What the original the interesting thing that came from this thread on Twitter as well, the original pregnancy test that people used to do, and I think it was maybe in the 40s or 50s or something like that. I don't know the exact thing. No, it's better, right? What they did was had African frogs. It was this particular breed of African frog, and if you injected the urine into its leg, if you were pregnant, the frog would lay eggs. If it weren't, it wouldn't lay eggs. I'm not even making that up. That's a thing.
This sounds like something off of the Ricky Gervais show that Carl Pilkington would come out with about animal-related news. I mean, that sounds bizarre. When did this happen?
I need to find this out, but I can't remember the exact era it happened. But
hopefully, my mum and dad didn't need to.
No, I think it was
in the 80s.
Before that, 1930s.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know when they did it up until, but tens of thousands of frogs were infused with human urine between the 40s and the 60s, apparently.
That's mental.
Yes.
I mean,
we've come a long way.
We have come a very long way. I don't think I'd want to be injecting any frogs. Did you have to do this yourself? I mean, at what point as well?
They did it. So you would go to the doctors and provide your urine sample, and they go, "Yeah, no problem. We'll have a look." Thinking there was some man in a lab, but no, it's just some bloke with a load of frogs.
I mean, I was going to say, if you've got to wait around until a frog's in your back garden, I mean, you're really clutching at straws to find out whether you're pregnant or not.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
It is.
And also a good way of ending this week's show, I think, on a strange, yeah. Think about that, listeners. Just think about that, and maybe we'll touch upon it another time.
See what other animals can help us in our day-to-day needs.
I've got 2 sausage dogs. Let's see what they can do.
What can they tell me?
Yeah. So, well, that has been our first episode back for season 4. You can find all our links to the show on social media and on our website, thisweekinmetropolis.com. And also, we're going to try and get the merch stuff added up on there as well.
Definitely. And what I was going to say, we're constantly sort of expanding our reach and trying out sharing these episodes with lots of different ways. We do put the clips on Instagram and on IGTV, which we can see loads of people listening to, which is fantastic. We've got the YouTube page, which now we are doing video full time. All of the video of us talking will be on there. But we also do have a second YouTube channel, which will be just the sections of chat that we have about a particular subject. So you can, if you want to listen to a particular thing again, if you want to listen to us talking about frogs and urine again, which will be a popular one, you can listen to that one just by itself, sort of edited for you.
And that's on Twin Bites.
Twin Bites on YouTube, which again we'll put in the link below. It's also, if you subscribe to our YouTube account, it's on the friends list on the right hand side as well.
Yeah. And just finally, a shout out again to Out of the Blank podcast. Me and Matt were both on there on a episode last week, so that should be coming out this week sometime. But you was also on an episode as well while we was away
during our time off.
So, so if you get a chance, give them a check out as well, because Robbie's got a great show over there as well. So check that out of the Blank podcast. But for now, that's the end of episode 1 of season 4, and hope you enjoy it, and we will speak to you again next week.
Goodbye.